of every past experience when I was powerful. And I bring those emotional and spiritual resources to the surface to set an intention and set the truth on fire and to impact the one person that's watching right now. Welcome, everybody. Shawal, that's my beautiful wife, Kimberly Gardner.
Grand Rising.
We're back to the book series that we've been doing over the past week called The 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. And as you continue paying attention to these videos and watch to the very end, you're going to recognize that there's a value here. You're going to recognize that this is thinking that 99% of people are not applying right now simply because they don't have the investor mindset and they don't have the business mindset, and therefore they get stuck in their lives. And the whole purpose of this video series and us going live right now is to get you unstuck, to just move your ego out of the way and allow new opportunities, new businesses, new relationships, new possibilities into your life. Because when you're open to that, everything changes. Your whole life can transform. If your marriage is falling apart, you can make a decision today and it transforms. If your body is falling apart, maybe you're broken down, maybe you've gotten hurt over the years, maybe you were like me and you're very active and athletic, and in the process of pursuing athleticism and true fitness, you've required or you've gotten injured over the past and you haven't been able to overcome your injuries. Maybe you have generational trauma where you are suffering from the weight of the iniquities of your forefathers, or for the bad decisions, or I'm going to say this first of all. I'm not going to say that there's really bad decisions, because everything happens for the good, even the bad, right? So I'm not going to say bad decisions.
There's opportunity in every adversity.
There's opportunity in every adversity, and there's an awareness that you can gain, and you can have insight, foresight, and hindsight to the problem before it even arises, right? But first we have to continue to pay attention. First of all, I appreciate you. If you're watching this video now at a later time, let us know where you're watching this video from. Engage. Also, too, if you have a website, go ahead and feel free to promote your website, because we believe in mutual collaboration. We believe in being able to openly share resources, and we believe that this is the direct program of nature, and we're going to be teaching you how to do just that. Kim, would you like to say anything before we get started?
So yeah, let us know what you're working on. The purpose of this book, it's 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class from Steve Siebold. And I first discovered this book when I was about 17, 18. And it was like the second success personal development book that I had ever purchased in my entire life. And I remember going through it and just going through the lessons. And back then I probably didn't really apply as much as I should have, but gaining the knowledge and gaining the understanding and gaining just a new peek into just how higher level people think is really, really powerful. No matter what you're working on, if you're working on attaining a new physique, fixing your relationships, building a new business, whatever projects you have going, you should always strive for excellence, right? I'm sure you're not trying to strive just to be the average person or have an average business or have average anything, right? So if you're striving for excellence, figure out how do excellent people think, and then learn to think like them, right?
That's right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you once again for taking the time to listen to this message. While average performers tend to believe truth and fact are the same, the world class know there is a difference. Champions use their critical thinking skills to make a clear distinction between truth and fact. Fact is reality. Truth is our perception of reality, and perceptions are subjective. One person perceives giving to charity as an expense, while another person perceives it as an investment in someone else's life. Wow. The fact is that many people give to charity, whether it's an expense or an investment. It's simply a perception. Which line of thinking represents truth, though? Actually, both do, because in the minds of individuals, perception equals truth. This subtle distinction allows the great ones to understand themselves and others at a higher level of awareness. The masses tend to operate from the truth, which is often a distorted version of the facts, right? Like being sold on lies and not exploring the matter for yourself or searching the matter out for yourself to decide whether or not this is logical and reasonable. Champions make decisions based on facts, not feelings. So, objectivity. The world class also uses this understanding of truth and fact in their mental programming. The great ones know the conscious mind functions most effectively on fact, while the unconscious can be programmed with truth. Since the subconscious is unable to make the distinction between fact and truth, Champions program their subconscious minds to believe their visions, dreams, and ideas as truths. Ooh, so powerful. I mean, I can go and do an hour video on just that sentence alone, you know what I mean? Because the subconscious doesn't have the ability to reject an idea. It accepts it as a truth and begins to create behaviors that are congruent with this new truth. The conscious mind does know this truth, and it knows it's not fact, right? And tension begins to build between the conscious and subconscious, creating cognitive dissonance, right? Well, we're going to dive deep into this today. As a result, the two go to work to create congruency. The great ones are not only aware of the difference between truth and fact, but they also know how to use them both to get what they want. Kim?
I'll listen to your takeaways first.
All right, so there was a time in my life, in my early 20s where I wanted to skip hard training. I don't know if you work out, or maybe you know people that work out, or maybe you have family that train, or you're inspired by athletes in any way, shape, or form by their athletic prowess, right? And we only know what we're able to do based on what others are doing. In other words, we can only become the people that we spend the most time with, right? You are actually you're going to have, do, and become in your life based on the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So my question to you first and foremost, right, is who are those 5 people that you're actually networking right now? See, my mindset has been like this because I've been bullied in my life. I've had losses in my life, right? I've been in the cage and been knocked down, right? I know what it's like to lose relationships. I know what it's like to lose financially. I know what it's like to help teams make millions and then go straight back to zero because that infrastructure is built on sand, not stone, not a solid foundation, right? So the pain of loss and suffering is inevitable for all, and I'm here to say you can make a new decision. So when I was younger, I used to avoid hard training. I only trained just enough to beat the people that were in my local community, right? I only wanted to be the best in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Like what? You might be saying, well, give me an example. Okay, well, I had the pull-up record at my local YMCA, right? 40 pull-ups in a row. And of course, testosterone was involved, right? Testosterone pills were involved, which gives you a false sense of confidence. It gets you aesthetically strong, but it doesn't get you mentally strong. And that was the mistake that I made. I actually just fell into that lifestyle because other people were doing it. And then the next thing you know, when you're already living an unconscious life, you just make bad decisions, don't you? Because you're unaware, because you don't have the chief cornerstone, right? You don't have the laws of the universe, the laws of morality, the laws of ethics, and you don't know yourself. If you don't have a relationship with the power that's within nature, then you're always going to struggle trying to find your identity. You're going to have an identity crisis for the rest of your life. And you're going to pretend that you're somebody that you're not. So I used to not train as hard as I should. And that actually affected my performances. And that's very hard to admit, right? How many people today are trying to get the fast track in life? How many people today are trying to have that microwave mentality and trying to just skip all that spiritual growth that is required in order to obtain an aesthetic or financial gain? How many people do that? Let us know in the comments, right? Because we have to recognize we can evolve quickly, but we have to go through that spiritual darkness. We have to go through, I'm not going to say darkness, I'm going to say that dark night of the soul. We have to look at our demons and look at our sin and look at our habits and our behaviors. And that's hard to do, isn't it? Isn't that hard to do? It's easy to point the finger at what everybody else should be doing, not realizing that we have 3 fingers pointing right back at ourselves. And the only reason why that somebody may or may not be getting the results that they want is simply because they haven't made their result getting a core value. Like, why is getting in shape the most important thing in your life right now? Why is structuring your business and having a freedom business that allows you to have true balance in your life, why is that important to you right now? Why is a relationship with nature and spirit the most important thing in your life? Because spiritual progression is the most important thing in your life. Because you can't have a balance of health, wealth, happiness, You can't be overindulgent in the lust of the flesh or in the pursuit of material, although you can get material as a reward system, right? Our goals, from what we've learned over the past since 2012, is that we used to spend about 50 to 80% of our stuff in just what? Commodities, things that didn't return on investment, just for fun, just because we could.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that much. Maybe we were more frugal than that, but we've definitely gotten more frugal since then. Now it's like we only keep and profit 10% and reward ourselves 10% of what we make. The rest goes into community development. The rest goes into helping other families. Because there was a great quote, and there's many great quotes out there. Jim Rohn, you help people get what they want, you will get what you want. But you have to self-sacrifice yourself. You have to invest into goodwill. You have to have a noble intention to say, how can I impact that community first before I could expect anything in return? You have to be like the sun. You got to shine your light and your brightness and your resources on the marketplace that you're looking to serve and outserve them more than everybody else on the planet. And that's something that a lot of people don't decide to do because of many reasons. They don't decide to become the best in their industry. They don't decide to be the very best in their profession or in their career. And that's not like to say like an arrogant type of thing, but it's about having a high self-esteem, because a self-esteem is truly your relationship with the Creator. Man's faith in the Most High God is his confidence in himself. Because if you continue to recognize a God that exists outside of yourself, or if you have like a white Jesus in your house, or even a black Jesus, or a cross, or any power that you're like idolizing, that you're like, if you're in a passive, submissive type of state, waiting and hoping and praying and wishing and wanting good to happen in your life, or structure and balance and peace in your life. But what you've accidentally done is that you've been waiting for a Savior when the Savior has already saved you, and He exists within you, and He is the light of the world, and the light that is within you can light up 10,000 earths if it wanted to, because each individual atom that creates your very body, that comes from an eternal power, and it's infinite. And I know that's deep for a lot of you. Some of you may have already like gone off this live or this video because that was just way too spiritual for you. But to some of you, but the ones that get it, you already know. So the question is, when are you going to step up into who you are? So I'll give you an example of where I am today, okay? I've been training all my life, since I was 7 years old. Actually, probably younger than that. Probably since I was like 5 years old, martial arts. I took like a 4-year break between 12 and 16, okay? Where all I did was nothing but skateboarding. And I was a skateboarder that skateboarded 10 to 12 hours a day in the dark, or rather in the hot heat of West Palm Beach, Florida. And I was incredibly dark during the time. My favorite time, one of my most favorite moments of my life was the skateboarding days. I had the freedom to go travel city to city to city to city, skateboard down stairs, skateboard down handrails, run away from police in the process, film a ton of footage for the fun of it, and I've never felt freer. And that was an experience that is a reference for me. Maybe you have a reference. Maybe you've done well in your past, or maybe when you were younger you had some type of skill, or you showed some type of excellence. Maybe you played an instrument real well. Maybe you have the desire to move your body like an Olympic gymnast. Maybe you have the desire to fully defend yourself and have martial arts as a skill. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody will be an entrepreneur, unfortunately, because the systems that have indoctrinated humanity today are simply designed to create basically a slave class system, and unfortunately it's a caste system that separates the nations, keeping the darkest at the bottom and the brightest at the top. And I know it sounds And I know that sounds like, wait a second, are you getting political now? Like, what is this? I thought this was a business growth strategy thing. Well, it is. Because here's the problem, at least for me, and maybe Kim, you can give some feedback. My wife didn't have any coffee, but so she has to summon all the power within her to overcome, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm working on lowering the caffeine intake. I usually only have like 1 cup in the beginning of the day, anyways, but skip that today, and so I'm definitely feeling a little bit of a difference. But
no, for sure. I mean, we're right here. I mean, I can rant all day. Why don't you go ahead?
that was yesterday.
Yeah, let's go.
So back to I'm gonna bring this up real quick, the action step, and then a couple things that I wanted to add. It says, write down 10 things that you know are a fact and rethink each by asking, is this really a fact or a truth I've created from my own or others' perceptions? For example, is it a fact that the sky is blue? Is it a fact that you are a nice person? Is it a fact that the faithful will be rewarded in heaven? You'll see how often we operate from truth rather than fact. I wanted to back up over here. Hold that thought. The world class also uses this understanding of truth and fact in their mental programming. So that right there gives you a little hint, a little glimpse into a secret, right? Mental programming, right? I know early on when I first discovered that there was a tape playing in my mind, I got I think probably like the third book that I purchased for myself was the book What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. And it talks about how we have thoughts rolling in our mind. Usually they're automated thoughts. They're not really a conscious thought that we're having. There's just thoughts going on and on and on and on. Maybe some songs mixed in there. Maybe kids' songs like me. If you're anything like me, I got kids' songs rolling all the time. I got to work to like push those things out because of the kids, listening to their stuff. But anyways, you have something just going on constantly, right? Most people don't know that you can actually program what happens inside of your mind. You can program the thoughts that play over and over and over again. You can program it in such a way that's going to actually build your life rather than tear it down.
Yeah,
build your self-esteem rather than tear your self-esteem down.
Pen to paper. So you can hear the advice all you want, but unless you're taking a pen to paper right now.
So there's your hint, right? The world class, people who achieve excellence, they become aware of mental programming, and then they decide, I'm going to put a plan into action to take control of my mental programming. I'm not going to allow teachers, friends, family, religion,
that all sounds great.
Things.
All sounds great, but the pen is the conscious mind. Your paper is the unconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And your unconscious mind has no respecter of the wish, desired, or what you want. If you write it down, the unconscious mind is not going to know whether it's real or it's fake. It's just going to accept it. And it's going to then be your driving mechanism to go and do that. So while you're here, for those that are watching right now, if you're watching, let us know where you're watching this from. And if you inbox us, what we'll do is we're actually going to give you a free, remember that 15K formula video series? A long time ago, we were invested like $997, and it was the first video of like this really great goal setting series. And basically, it's going to get you clear on how to hit your specific outcomes, whatever that outcome may be, in your fitness, in your marriage, in your relationships with your kids. Maybe you want new relationships, maybe you want kids. Wherever you are is fine. It's going to get you into a clarity and an emotional state where you get so crystal clear on the core reasons why you do what you do, and you operate from that noble intent. You operate from that clarity, and your behaviors will start matching exactly according to the goal that you want. Because your unconscious mind is no respecter of persons. It's just going to start acting accordingly, right? But you have to make that decision. You can't get lazy and start going to Netflix. You can't get lazy and start going to all these internet porn sites and start doing that. You don't want to do that. You want to stay focused with your sexual energy. You want to stay focused with all the energy that you have to achieve your outcome, because don't your kids deserve better? Don't your family deserve better? Doesn't your community deserve better? See, all you got to do is just change your mind. Set a goal big enough that allows the right people to be put in place. And really the whole message of today's chapter is get around the right mentors. That's always changed my life. There's been times where I've abhorred working with people because maybe I misjudged them too much, or maybe I didn't like something they said, or maybe I didn't like how they looked, or maybe they had some toothpaste on their mouth. I don't know. I had some weird misjudgments in the past with people. However, I got over that, and then what did I start doing? And I started opening up I started realizing that I was not getting the results that I wanted, so I had to invest into the mentors that can get me to where I want to go even faster. So what did my wife and I start doing? We started investing in all these mentors. We started hiring the best people on the planet, studying the best people on the planet, going to their events, shaking their hand, taking them out to lunch, paying for their hotels, paying for whatever, right? Getting housing for them. We were doing these things. Why were we doing those things? Because it's an investment to serve your community, but there is a reward in that, right? When you invest into your message, when you invest into your community, when you invest into your brand, and you put your message out there, all of you, any single one of you can make a decision, get plugged in with a guy like Prince EA, and he'll teach you how to generate 12 million views. He'll teach you how to do that right away, right? That service is available. There's other entrepreneurs who can put you on USA Today, Entrepreneur, Forbes, real outlets with real traffic exchanges that guarantee you clicks, leads, and sales. And again, I'm not saying that because I want to brag. I'm saying that simply because it's the reality. See, I don't want you to believe me or my wife. We're intermediaries. We simply point in the direction of the people that have helped us and what's working for us and what's working for the very best. That's what we're here to help you do. See, we've worked with a lot of people in the past. We just got done listening to another mentor of ours, Ty Lopez, that we've studied for a while, and then fell off and then studied again. And what did he say? He was acquiring about 70 high-ticket clients per month, and he thought that he was doing great. But you know what happened? With client acquisition comes client problems. Client acquisition comes client emotions. Client acquisition comes potentially the ruin of that relationship if the intent of either the buyer or the seller is not mutually collaborative. If it's ego-driven and competitive, it's never going to work. But if it's truly for the betterment of other people and other families and whole communities, and you keep it kosher and you just simply honor your agreements and keep your agreements and complete your projects and assignments by the dates that you assign them. I mean, I'm talking about a management. I'm talking about a personal self-development, a personal management of yourself that if you decide to go look at the macro of your life and your reality, and then you go dive deeper into your micro, and then you micro organize and you structure your life, right? You have time windows of when you work and how you work. You're going to find yourself in a very balanced, productive flow type of life where abundance is happening every day for you. We got 5 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So that was really deep and great.
Yeah,
of
no,
course.
I can rant.
Back to, if I can go back to the point that I was trying to make, is okay. So we're going to recognize that we have mental programs. Our brain, you would be really, really well off to understand, or just start looking at your mind or your brain, however you want to label it, as a computer. Like we're in a flesh human body, right? We have flesh and blood, and we need oxygen and water and all this stuff, sunlight. But our mind is really like a computer, and we can program it however we want and whatever we want. However, if we haven't made that decision that we're going to do that, then guess what? We already have programs that are running. And where did they come from? They probably came from school. They probably came from your parents, friends, people who put you down throughout your childhood, people who are putting you down through your adult life right now, your employer, your environment, the things that you're listening to, the things that you're watching, the things that you're participating in, everything that you're putting in to your mind through listening with your ears, seeing with your eyes, saying to yourself is becoming your reality and becoming what you believe is truth. So they say the difference between facts and the difference between truths, right? So they say a fact is like something like the sky is blue. We can all look at the sky, it's blue, right? That's not really relative because nowhere in the world, unless it's like a cloudy day, it might be gray, might be a little bit light blue or something like that. So truth is relative though. So I encourage you to go into when I first started personal development and I first started doing journaling, I went into my journal and my mentor encouraged me to make lists of things that I believed in different areas of my life. So for example, if it's your health and your fitness, and you guys, I got my phone over here and Shawal has his phone over here. So if you see me looking up here, I'm looking at my own phone. So pardon me for that, but let me stay quiet, okay? I'm gonna sit right here. Here we go, we have Adonai. So my mentor encouraged me to go into my journal and section out areas of my life that I wanted to change. And at that time, I wanted to change everything. I wanted to change my relationships. I wanted to change my career path. I wanted to become a full-time entrepreneur and leave my job. I wanted to become the healthiest, most in shape and well version of myself. And I wanted to change my finances as well. So I went into my journal and I created these categories, and she said, write down everything that you believe right now in those areas. No matter if it's negative or positive, just what do you believe about yourself in those areas? And so I listed it out, and then I reread it. You know, it says in here to make a list, write down 10 things that you know are a fact, and rethink each by asking, is it really a fact or a truth that I've created from my perceptions? And as I read those lists of things that I believed in those areas, in all of them, I realized there was a lot of lies in there. I was believing things that weren't a fact. I was believing things that were not true about myself, personally about myself, about my body, about my health. I was believing things that were not actual truths about my finances, about my bank account, about my ability to earn money. For example, growing up, I learned through my experience in childhood growing up that I was not the type of person that had money, right? Or that money was really, really hard to get. And that things were just, it's super hard to pay your bills. And it's super hard to ever buy anything and to just accumulate wealth. Why did I learn that? Because that was the environment I was in. That's what I was told. That's what I saw. And that's what I experienced growing up. I took those beliefs from my childhood into my adulthood. And that's the program that I had going. That's the little disc that was running in my mind, just telling me that that's what was true. I was believing it. And therefore, my actions met my beliefs. So if you want to create new results... Can you shush them? The children. We just had Instacart drop by, and so the kids are unpacking the groceries now. Such a blessing to have that service, right? But they're in there yapping a little bit. But so you can choose beliefs, right? You can choose a new belief about yourself today, about your business, about your finances, about your relationships today, right? A new thought, repeated over and over again, will become a belief, something that you believe is true. And then repetitive beliefs become something that you know. And that's where mastery is when you know things about yourself. You've made new decisions about yourself, and therefore you're not going to have the same standards that the previous self had. The standards people gave me, my school gave me, my old friends who I shouldn't really hang out with anymore, they gave me, because they're not thinking the same way that I want to be thinking now. You know, the way that your employer taught you to think. You know, the way that you have to trade time for money, and that's it. That's the only way to ever earn income or earn a living. So do your 10 things, and then you can even do the exercise that I mentioned is categorize your achievement into areas of life that you want to achieve new things, and write down just do like a flow. Put on some music, write down everything you believe in those areas, and then question yourself. Be like, is this really a fact, or is this a truth or a lie? Is this just something that I just believe because things have been a certain way for so long? And if that's true, the really exciting thing about that, don't get depressed about it. Don't look at your false beliefs and be like, dang, I believe a lot of stuff that is not true or isn't really building me or serving me. Get excited about it, because you can decide in that moment. You can put a pin through all of the ones that you want to change, and then you can immediately replace it with a new truth, a new belief that you want to start believing from today forward. It's really powerful. And then over time, if you can just be consistent, just like we've mentioned in previous episodes, you have to set time aside to train your mind, just like you do for your body. You drink water, right? You set time aside to drink water. You set time aside to have meals. You set time aside to do the things that you want to do, right? And if you don't have time, or if time right now is kind of an illusion for you, and lack of time is something that's playing out in your life, then you have to make a sacrifice and decide, where can I make time available? Get up a little bit earlier, go to bed a little bit later, cut off the Netflix, cut off the TV. I know for the longest time, we didn't even own a TV from like 2012
we were
to
the
2016.
most productive then.
We owned no TV, we just got rid of it. And yeah, streaming things weren't really that popular back then, so we didn't really do any of that either, but we just really monitored what was going inside.
The reality is, though, like, can you be a back-end investor of a video game channel and drive e-commerce products and sell them? Yes, you absolutely can. That doesn't mean that you're going to be the one playing the video games consistently all day, every day, and not producing as a business owner or an entrepreneur, but you can have children do that, right? That has actually been, you know, a personal goal of mine, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. One of the many companies that we're going to be launching by the end of actually we're going to be launching it this month. So when we're talking about November, December, we got a month and a half left, my friend. What are you going to do? Let us know in the comments. We appreciate you. We love you. Tune in to the next episode.
Yeah, thank you for being here. If you got some value out of the call, feel free to share, and we will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time.
Peace.
Bye.